Not Our Finest Hour podcast right now, starting right here. I'm Zach. This is Brad to my right, or whatever, however this turns out. Brad, say hello.
Yo,
I currently am in Milwaukee. He is currently in California. Madera, is that the name of the place?
Madeira, and I was actually thinking it would be sick if we started a rap group called Mad Era
Mad
for like a
Era.
production company called Mad Era Productions, like
I,
straight out of Madeira.
Mad Era is a good combination of words. I like that. So why are we doing a podcast? That's a good question.
Because we're gay.
That's
Oh,
part. That might be part of it. Most of it has
I
to do
just
with the.
did this so my dad would find out I was gay. Dad, I'm gay.
This is so he can't call you a liar later when you say you did come out back in 2021 when he's on his
Yeah,
deathbed.
like Thanksgiving or some shit. I'm like, I told you guys I was gay, and he's like, you weren't even there. And I was like, look, DMT is a hell of a drug, baby.
And then
You know what
you
I'm
said,
saying? I
"Wow,
don't know.
this is a hell of a way to find out my family doesn't listen to my podcast." But this really stings.
They're like, we'll love you no matter what. We don't care how gay you are, but if you start a shitty podcast,
And we have to
you're cut
disassociate.
out of the will.
hmm Don't
I
even
hope this
try to
shit
come to my
works.
funeral, you little bastard. Hang on a second.
All right, so look, clearly Zach is dead, and this is now my podcast. And so I'm in charge, and the first thing I want to talk about is Jews.
What?
Who the fuck are we, right? This is our first inaugural podcast.
hmm
So it's like, who are we? Why are you watching this? Probably
That,
because you have a lot of problems in your own life that you need to deal with. Yeah, we all used to be comics. I guess we're still kind of comics. We were open micers. I was doing it in Vegas. He was doing it in Milwaukee, and it was a lot of fun. And we all have our personal reasons. You know what I mean, for like pursuing comedy and why you drop out. It's actually an incredibly hard thing to do. You need to do it a lot. You need to be out there
it
every night.
requires a lot of consistency, which is
Absolutely.
hard to juggle with a lot of personal stuff when it comes around.
Like for me, what came around personally was heroin, and I was like, that's pretty fun. I'm gonna do
Yeah.
that. I'm clean now. No, I really am. Whatever. But yeah, I don't know. It's like we always thought that we should try to be creative, somehow. So now we're doing this.
I used to have a podcast back in the day. I always liked podcasting.
Absolutely.
I did a podcast with my buddy Mac called Mac and Zach to the Future. We did that for a couple of years, and then just that busted up. Me and Mac are still friends, but the podcast just doesn't happen anymore, and he's not interested in podcasting, but Brad seems to be. I have some old podcast episodes on YouTube. I've tried to do a podcast by myself, but the only person who can fucking do that is Bill
Bill
Burr.
Burr,
He's the only person I know of who can just
right?
consistently.
I'm
The
not
guy
married,
is so
but
the guy is so manic that he can maintain a podcast by himself, and it's not a problem.
he's been on Rogan a few times talking about drums and helicopters and shit. He's like, rich
Oh yeah,
people
that's how
fucking.
manic he is. He can become a helicopter pilot, a stand-up comic, full time, like steady podcast for years by
But he
himself.
can't grow hair,
That's
you
true.
know? This is
Finally,
my flex on Bill Burr. At least he doesn't need head and shoulders. Anyway.
that's the one thing that he can't do. He's a ginger. Maybe he wears a bald cap and he pretends that he's bald.
Andrew Santino. Do you know who that is?
Yes.
He's a fucking ginger. I hate him. I hope he dies.
Oh,
No, I'm just kidding.
isn't
No,
he
his
on the
fucking
Whiskey Ginger podcast? Isn't that
Yes,
his? Yeah.
Whiskey Ginger.
Mm.
It's my new favorite fucking podcast, dude. He just had Sam Morril on yesterday, bro. And you know I love Sam Morril's Jewish ass. I love Mark Normand. I just watched Ari Shafir's podcast today about smoking weed. And yeah,
Sam
podcasts are
Morril was
finally
just on the
cool. And
bonfire yesterday or the day before that. And that was pretty funny. I can't remember what they
you know
talked
who
about.
these motherfuckers need to get on though?
Hmm.
David Chappelle. Why? And he showed up on a podcast on Rogan for a little bit with who was Ashy Larry?
Donnell Rawlings, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
hard to. Who do you think is a bigger name, Rogan or Chappelle? Two comics. I would say Chappelle, and Rogan would agree. I guarantee it. But to the general public, who do you think?
I think Rogan gets a lot of, well, especially recently, he got flack for the whole horse dewormer CNN thing. And so a lot of people know about Joe Rogan because he's been kind of villainized recently.
Well, they've been trying to villainize him for a long time.
Did you hear the Dave Chappelle Rogan episode, the full one?
Oh, he actually did since Rogan moved to Austin. No, I didn't hear that.
They go into a lot of
stuff.
stuff.
That is what will make me download Spotify, finally. It's free. All I am fucking lacking is the will to live. You know, I will do it now, though.
I just went to Spotify.com and listened to it directly on there. I'm not bothered like downloading it on my tablet.
Oh, I can do that. Yeah, I don't know things.
Rogan just had Sanjay Gupta on his podcast the other day, and that's been making the rounds news-wise for a lot of reasons. So that's...
Well, not necessarily news-wise. Alternative news is what I guess I'm going to call it right now. You know what I mean? All the things like Daily Wire, you know...
CNN did do a rebuttal about it, though. Don Lemon and Sanjay Gupta talked about it directly.
Yeah, he came on and doubled down.
Mm-hmm. And Don Lemon pretty much said, we didn't lie, and that's not true, that they basically did lie.
What he said was, basically, I'm paraphrasing, it's not a lie to say that ivermectin is a horse dewormer.
Mm-hmm.
Something along those lines. And I honestly, I think the way I said it was better. I should work for CNN.
Yeah.
Technically, that's true. Some of this horse dewormer paste does use ivermectin in it. Mm-hmm. That's a fact.
Yeah, because it's an antifungal. When they come on and
say, this motherfucker's taking horse dewormer.
Mm-hmm.
And he got, give me a break.
Well, they completely framed it like he was taking notes from, like, survivalist websites and self-medicating himself when it was really his doctor that prescribed it to him.
Exactly. It's the framing of the narrative. You nailed it. That's exactly. And that's why rhetoric is so important.
Yeah, I was going to say, because the reason that all of this is coming up, Rogan or Chappelle, is because this past week has been, like, it's been really good for Chappelle, and it's also been really bad for Chappelle because he's taking a lot of flack for his latest special, The Closer, which I was going to ask you, have you seen it yet?
I saw it, and it almost kind of sort of made me come to tears because, you know that I love Chappelle so much, and I love the art of comedy so much, and I didn't know. I was out drinking with Ernesto, in the backyard, smoking something it was marijuana. I don't care. No, I was playing. It was, CBD. It's fine.
Oh,
but
okay.
We're good. Some THC and maybe a little crack. Who cares? Anyway, I come in and I'm like, I'm going to eat some fucking food, watch Netflix. And then I open it up and there's a new Dave Chappelle special. And to people like me and you, a new Dave Chappelle special, I'll take that over a blowjob every single fucking time, dude. I mean, like, are you kidding me? And then he comes on there and he goes, this is the last special I'm going to do. For a minute. That's what he said, for a minute. And it's freaking me out right now because, like, living in the moment and realizing that you're watching some of the greats work. You know what I mean? Like, some of the best. It's like, I'm a football fan, and when I would watch Tom Brady and Peyton Manning square off in the playoffs, I'd be like, this is big for football. And so it's like, this is big for comedy, but it's also crossing over into just the world, and that's not because of Dave Chappelle, that's because of
activism, I guess.
People here he's talking about. It's genius because he wins either way.
Mm-hmm.
If they cancel him, they prove his point. If they don't, they don't. Honestly, I think, and I heard them talking about this on Flagrant 2, Andrew Schultz, but they were talking about this, and and they made this great point that, like, what he was saying is, like, give us the same respect that you do to these transgender people,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like black people, you know, stop punching down, you know. And I loved how he really hammered it in by saying, oh, they always had these same talking points. Like, he didn't say it like that, but he might as well have been rolling his eyes. And so, yeah, I think it was beautiful. And let me ask you this. Did you hear about the walkout at Netflix?
I heard that there is an organized walkout that hasn't even happened yet. It's going
Pretty
to be
sure
a
it happened.
virtual walk. No, it's going to be a virtual walkout that happens on the 20th of October or something along those lines. I'm going to put up details on the screen with editing later. But
Absolutely. In post, because we know what
yeah.
we're doing.
It's just a very empty, hollow virtue thing, because all they're gonna do is step away from their desks for the day, and I don't know how many people Netflix employs, but I doubt that it's going to be a massive group.
2,812.
Well, bigger than that, walkout
I have
news
no
was
idea. I wouldn't know.
Netflix just shit canned a woman, I believe it was a woman, for leaking information to the press about the special. I don't know what that information was specifically, but she was fired for it because it's a confidentiality breach. So, and people are, and I've seen a lot of people trying to defend her and saying everybody who's against, or everybody who's like laughing at her are like corporate bootlickers. Like, I don't give Netflix any love. I think they're one of the worst when it comes. I was shocked that they stood by Chappelle and said we're not removing. I
agree.
Very surprised.
But listen, I think that they are taking a stand. Maybe they're making an example out of a lot of these motherfuckers, saying like, look, y'all aren't in control. We are. We will just fire you. We can survive a couple of weeks of bad press. You need to fucking work on your resume. You know what I mean? Like,
the Wall Street Journal
taking a stand, dude.
The Wall Street Journal just posted an article today saying Dave Chappelle could be the thing that curbs wokeness.
Boom!